All right. So addiction is there's a clinical definition and then there's just a general definition. So addiction is where you do something, or you are compelled to do something, or an action or a behaviour or something where you are compelled to do it. It is something that is a neurological response to wanting to continue doing something. So addiction can be in various forms, from good addictions and bad addictions. If we're talking about the classical addictions of drugs and alcohol, they are addiction where the brain gets a response from the substance being introduced, and therefore you get a chemical response, and that's where the addiction occurs from. There are other addictions though. There are addictions to gaming, there are addictions to being fit, there are addictions to people, there are addictions to lots of things. So it's all about how the brain responds, releasing chemicals. Those chemicals make you feel good, and therefore it builds the addiction. I think that human beings are addictive creatures. So depending on what you're actually into, we all get addicted to something, whether it be a positive thing or a negative thing. Obviously, when it comes to being addicted to the negative things, there are people that have greater level of mental capacity to deal with things. And obviously that's a variant on society. So the brain's ability to actually cope with addiction is what the most important thing is. And there are very strong people who are mentally strong, and there are mentally weak people.
太够话，还想我应该怎么办呢？我切不到这个音乐。随时啊！我操，打死这！我刚刚进来，你不用管他。哎，可以打他，先打他。继续推。你们不去下了，无所谓。1800、1600，为什么现在白天是1600？因为现在那个烂个分比原来那个，现在那个分就是打得多就可以上去，差不多1600、1700左右。就是你一直打，因为你输的话只扣10分，可以赢的话可以加20分。啊，就是玩的多就可以上去。对吧？像我这么水的1800，我是懂的。我能看着下次飞他。一般都会2个。 2个球，1个运，1个飞。哇！
你看，我的名字叫瑞，我们这次来参加比赛就是为了图好玩，其他没什么事情，就为了娱乐。应该会有越来越多的玩家，更多的玩家会来玩，每天不下3小时吧，已经灰飞烟灭了。大家一起加油吧，一起撸起。
Well, I mean, gaming's good fun. I game as well as we all do. It's interesting to know though that the gaming people actually employ psychologists, and the psychologists actually use addictive behaviours to actually build addiction into games. I had Dr. Michael Carr-Gregor, went to a conference with him, and he talked about the fact that the psychologists actually work on the release of the hormones from the brains, or the chemicals from the brains, building the responses into the game, and therefore the game becomes addictive not just because of the game, but because the brain gets addicted to it. In essence, human beings like rewards, so games start easy and give you rewards. As you get into the game, the rewards become a little bit harder to get, so you have to work harder. You have to play longer to get those rewards. The rewards then have an element of playing in a community, and because you start playing in a community, you don't want to let your mate down. So there's a chemical response about bonding to a friend, so I don't want to let them down, so I play a little bit longer. And it starts to build where our brain, as we said, and in all ways, our brain releases the chemicals, we feel good about the chemicals, and we get addicted to those chemicals, and our body actually relies on them. So the psychologists are very, very clever, and the gamers are very clever in building games that have a physiological response to them, so therefore it actually builds the addiction. Everyone's addicted to something. I myself like to cycle. So often as I'm driving to work, I'm going up a hill and I think, I'd love to ride this, get on my bike and ride this hill. It's exactly the same reason as why do bungee jumpers get addicted to bungee jumping, because it's the whole rush that they get from it. So, addiction is a powerful tool. It's not a bad thing. We just need to be addicted to good things.